Most divorced men or guys getting out of long-term relationships and are getting back into the dating scene aren't failing because they're picking the wrong women. They're failing because they're still the same man that ignored the red flags in the first place. So in this video, I want to give you some tips to help you identify red flags, things that you can do to really improve your relationships if you're gone through a divorce or you've been out of a long-term relationship. I think these will really help you start making some progress and start getting the relationships that you're looking for. The first step to prepare you for dating after a long-term breakup or a divorce is that you need to identify the red flags that were in you that led to this relationship. Were you picking her out of scarcity? Was it out of unworthiness that you just didn't think you could do better? Were there red flags in you? For me, I was definitely picking out of scarcity. I had mentioned in a previous video that I proposed to my wife at a Wendy's parking lot after I found out I was supposed to go to Korea. This was the only girl that was attractive, that really showed any interest in me, and said that she loved me, and I did not want to lose that. So it was a knee-jerk reaction. I was not choosing this relationship out of abundance and like, you are the one for me, because I did know that there were a lot of red flags. But this was a red flag in me, is that I was choosing out of scarcity. I did not want to lose her. I didn't think I would ever do better. It was a lot of low self-worth. Like, if I lose her, I'll be alone forever. And this was when I was 21, 22. So had I kept these behaviors after my divorce and I found the next girl that just showed any interest in me, I'd be repeating the same pattern. So the first step is we need to identify what are some of your red flags that led to that relationship. So was it out of scarcity? Was it out of low self-worth? My other red flags that I had was that I was a nice guy. I would use covert contracts to get what I wanted. So I would agree to go to art fairs or, I don't know, go to Bed Bath & Beyond. You know, there's a bunch of stuff I didn't really want to do, but I wanted to be rewarded for that. So I would go to these events, and then I would just hope, without expressing any needs at all, that she would reciprocate her appreciation for me going to these things, and just know that I wanted affection, I wanted sex, I wanted love. And when I didn't get these things later that evening or when we got home, I would pout, I would just kind of shut down, be very distant. And she noticed, obviously, like, it's very awkward when we come home and then I'm not talking to her and I'm just very much, keeping to myself. So that was a huge red flag of mine. I was also very emotionally, I guess I would say emotionally distant as well. Like, I wouldn't express my feelings, I wouldn't express my needs. I could not be vulnerable. This just stemmed from, I guess, being quiet and not knowing exactly how to express my needs. Probably reverts back to a lot of the nice guy behavior as well. I also was not a leader. I would always ask her what she wants to do, what she wants for dinner, where does she want to go. And I thought this was, happy wife, happy life. You do things you ask her what she wants to do because it shows you're attentive and caring. But in reality, it just puts all the responsibility on her. It makes her feel like she's running the household. Oh, it's raining pretty good. Makes her feel like she's in charge. And it just kind of flips that frame. So I was not being very masculine. I was not leading. So those are just a few of my red flags that I identified very early on after the divorce. Because without me addressing those, I'm going to bring that same stuff into the next relationship. If I'm not recognizing what's I'm bringing that's going to affect the relationship, it's just doomed to repeat itself. So step one is let's identify some of the red flags that you have. Everything's not her fault. Everything's not your fault. There's things that both people contribute to the relationship, and personal responsibility. Figure out what you can control. Figure out what ways you can improve. So since the divorce, I've worked on becoming more masculine, leading. I've been able to be more vulnerable. I try to not do the nice guy stuff. I express my needs. So step one, identify what red flags you're bringing to the table. Also, now that you've identified your red flags, I think that'll help you heal. We want to make sure that you're healed before you go out and start looking to date. I made a video previously about why I think it is important to go out and date fairly quickly after a long-term breakup or a divorce, because she's already moved on. She's not thinking about you. And the longer you sit at home by yourself, worried about what she's doing, feeling lonely, it's not going to help you heal and move on. That does take some time though, and I think identifying your red flags will help you realize ways that you can improve, and it might make you excited to get back into a new relationship so that you can work on these things to become a better version of yourself. Step number 2 will also help you out and help you move on quicker, and that is identifying her red flags. I think we instinctively know red flags when we see them. I know for me, I felt uneasiness when I was getting guilt tripped or victim blaming, but I just ignored it. I thought that's kind of what you had to do. If I put up any sort of resistance, she would leave and I would lose love, and then this girl would be out of my life forever. So I did ignore a lot of these red flags. I'm just gonna go over some of the most common ones that I look for now when I'm going on dates, so that I can cut off these interactions very quickly. I don't wanna get into a relationship with somebody that displays these red flags. You know, you start envisioning a future with these girls, and you just ignore these red flags. They're not gonna go anywhere, they're still gonna be there. One of the top red flags to be aware of is that she talks bad about her exes. Everything is his fault. She doesn't take any sort of personal accountability for how the relationship ended or some of the problems that were involved in the relationship. This is gonna come back if you get involved with this girl. If she can't take any personal responsibility for the relationship, she's not gonna be able to take it when you guys are together. If she hasn't learned that, it's gonna be tough to maybe open up her eyes to that. It's probably something that you don't want to have to teach her. Like, I want a woman who's already taking personal responsibility. She understands that, you know, her choices, her actions lead to, you know, situations, consequences, whatever you want to say. So be aware of that. That also leads into another red flag, victim mentality. Life happens to her. Things happen to her. Everything is somebody else's fault. This was something that I experienced a lot in my marriage. My wife would come home and something happened at work. Somebody said something to her. Everything happened to her. These people are always wrong. Her mother did this. She's not happy about that. Everything is against her. That was a major red flag that I ignored. It's not something that I'm gonna, be involved with somebody who does that now. It goes back to personal responsibility. What are things that you could have done in those situations to improve the outcome? Or, personal responsibility is you're not in control of what happens to you, but you are in control of how you respond and react to it. So if she's already playing that victim mentality, if she's already talking bad about her exes, it's just a sign of things to come. It's a red flag that I ignored for the longest time, my entire marriage. Which also goes into another red flag is guilt tripping. If she's giving you guilt trips to start the relationship, it's gonna happen throughout your marriage. Jealousy does not just go away. If you don't learn how to address it, it's just gonna get worse and worse. I never knew how to address it. I guess I just assumed that, the happy wife, happy life. If she's trying to guilt trip me, I must be wrong because I'm making her feel bad. And that's not the case. I didn't do anything wrong. Just because there was nudity in a movie, that doesn't mean that I did something wrong. Or just because I go out with friends doesn't mean that I'm going to cheat on you. It just means I'm gonna go spend time with my friends. And if that's a problem for you, that's unfortunate, but I am not doing anything wrong. And I wish I would have addressed this very quickly in the relationship because it happened from the start. I had mentioned to coworkers that I was thinking of breaking up with her because of these guilt trips, but because I was in scarcity, I never addressed my red flags. We proceeded to get married. The guilt trips never stopped, and I was never learning this kind of stuff. to really improve any of that. So I just dealt with it. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't make her feel good either, because she doesn't want a man that can't stand up to her and, you know, speak his truths. So another common red flag is guilt trips. Another top red flag to look out for is emotional instability. Is she hot one minute, really loving you, and then very cold the next, very distant? It's up to you. I mean, I think this is a red flag because it's too inconsistent. You don't know where you stand with her. Some moments she really wants to be with you, and then some she doesn't want to be with you. I don't know if that's the kind of relationship you want. I know for me, I want a woman who's very loving, very supportive, and is there for you. When she's giving you signs that she is there for you and that she does want to be with you and that she loves you, and then some days she's giving you the very distant, not really being affectionate, not supporting you, you can't tell where you stand. I mean, that's a huge red flag as well. Another red flag to look out for is love bombing. Now this one's kind of tough because it does feel great to have a girlfriend that does love you, that she wants to give you affection, she wants to, you know, show that she cares, she wants to, you know, just make sure that you're supported in every way. But if she's doing this at the very start of the relationship, it could show a lot of insecurity on her part, where she recognizes that you are such a great guy for her that she doesn't want to lose you. She's coming from a place of scarcity, and those feelings will wear off. And you don't want to be in a situation where she's trying to do all this stuff to rush the relationship, and then, you know, a couple months down the line, or you guys get married, she decides that, oh, maybe I was just infatuated with him and not truly in love with him. You kind of find out who she really is once all the love bombing stops. So just be aware of that. Is she trying to rush things too fast? Is she just putting so much pressure on you to get together with her immediately and not having you really identify any other red flags in her? This could be a way for her to hide some of her red flags. Like, if I just show you enough love and affection, you won't pay attention to the fact that I'm a victim blamer or a victim mentality, or that I guilt trip every once in a while. You know, love bombing is an easy way to guilt trip somebody, because you're just like, oh, I showed you all this love and now you're not going to spend time with me. Now you're going to go hang out with your friends. Looking back, I think this is probably was a red flag in my relationship. I didn't think about it really, but she was very much love bombing me, making sure she knew that I cared for her and that I should only want to hang out with her and not my friends, because she truly cares about me. So be on the lookout for that one as well. Another major red flag for me is, does she disrespect others? Does she talk behind people's back? Is she a gossip? Does she like gossip? Does she like drama? Is she being rude to wait staff? If she's doing these things while you're dating her, this is just a sign to come if you end up getting in a relationship with her, like long term, or if you end up marrying her. Most of the time, these things don't just go away. If she's rude to wait staff on your dates, do you think she's really going to improve this behavior if you're getting married with her? A lot of times, girls will be entitled to things. I've watched plenty of TikToks, Instagram reels where girls feel like they're entitled to something. The guy's not taking them to good enough restaurants, or they're not taking them to fun enough events, or he should be bringing me this. I am entitled to that. They gossip a lot about this stuff. So if you're recognizing this behavior, you got to ask yourself, is that something that you want to deal with long term? I don't know if these girls are playing this up for TikTok, but their attitudes are immediately unattractive, and it's not anything I would put up with. I've had dates where they have been rude to wait staff, and you just know immediately, like, okay, this girl is not going to be a right fit, very uncomfortable, and you have to end the date fairly quickly. Just nip that in the bud. Like, why waste your time staying on the dates with these people? So I got yelled at by a biker. So yeah, those are some of the top red flags to look for. Another thing I would be wary of as well is is she addicted to social media? Does she only scroll TikTok and Instagram, watching these reels about women and how they should be entitled to this and that? That should be the man's job to provide all this stuff, while she just, I don't know what she does. I don't like watching this content, but I have seen quite a bit of it. And is she looking for tons of validation from people on Instagram and Snapchat or whatever? I was watching a video or a reel the other day. This guy went on a date with a woman, and he took her to a nice dinner, and it was like their third or fourth date. And he got up and went to the bathroom, and she, once he was gone, started taking photos of her at the restaurant with the dinner, like just by herself, so that he's nowhere in the scene. He's not being recognized for maybe being this girl's boyfriend or being the one that took her on this date. And she was very much just looking for validation, like, hey, look at what I'm doing. Aren't I so hot in my dress next to this dinner? And just not giving any, I guess, credit. I don't know if I want to say credit, but making it aware that she was on a date with this guy. And he got very upset by it, and he said it was over. He broke up with her. And then she's on TikTok complaining about how this guy broke it off with her over something so small as her posting next to this dinner without him, which I don't know what your feelings are on that. Let me know in the comments. But I understand where that guy's coming from. Like, he did all this work. He's expecting her, I guess, they're on their third or fourth date. He's probably expecting her to maybe be his girlfriend. I don't know if they talked about that or whatever, but it sounded like she was looking for a lot of validation on social media. So that's something to be aware of. I personally, I guess, don't worry too much about that. But if she's looking for a lot of male attention through social media, that is going to be a red flag. It's not going to just go away on its own. So you got to ask yourselves, is that something that you want to be a part of? All right, now that we know some of her major red flags to look out for, we've identified your major red flags that you are bringing into previous relationships. Now we just want to make sure that she's consistent. Is she reliably showing up over time? Does she do the things she says she's going to do? Is she there to support you? Is she there to help you with your goals? This person's going to be with you more than anybody else outside of yourself. So we need to make sure that she is consistently there. Her behavior matches what her story is telling her. If she's saying that she is loving, if she is, supportive, if she does want to help her man achieve his goals, are her actions in accordance with this? Is she truly there to be supportive, give you ideas of how you can improve? If she says she wants a high-value man, but then isn't there to help support him, to help him become better, or if she says that she's looking for a relationship, but then is flaky with text messages, or she's out with her friends all the time and never has time for you, these are, I guess, they're red flags as well, but we just want to make sure that she's consistent. You don't want to rush into this relationship with all this inconsistency, this unknown behaviors. It's just going to lead to, it's not going to necessarily get better just because you start dating her. If she's very inconsistent to start, what makes you think once you guys are together that things will change, or if you guys get married? It's just very risky. You want to make sure you guys are on the same page with things. This leads into the next step, is that you don't need to rush into anything. Find out who each other is. Chemistry does not equal compatibility. Just because you guys get along very well and that you guys hit it off, you guys are very attracted to each other, that doesn't mean that you're compatible. That doesn't mean that you have the same goals in mind. That doesn't mean that you envision the same future. Which is why, step one, we identified your red flags, but you should also be identifying what your goals are with relationships. What are your goals for your life? What kind of partner do you want? You want to make sure that they have the same, I'm walking down these steps or this trail now. You want to make sure that they're in alignment with what you're wanting to do with your life. If you've gone through a bad breakup or a divorce, you probably had to make a lot of sacrifices for your goals because you had to involve somebody else. And now that you're out of this relationship, it's very important to not only identify what red flags you had, what red flags she had, what red flags you want to avoid, but also where you want to go in life now. I'm hoping you don't want to just rush into any sort of relationship and repeat that same process. So identify, what do you want? Where do you want to go with your life? Do you want to travel? Do you want a partner that travels with you? Do you want a partner that has her own hobbies? Whatever it is, be very clear about that. Because without that, you could give in to that temptation that we have a ton of chemistry. She's great. We just get along so well together. And then you rush into something, you rush into marriage, and you realize you don't have any of the same goals, any of the same dreams or desires, and then you're stuck. I know for me, I rushed into getting married. We had tons of great chemistry, but I would say we weren't compatible. I guess I didn't really have goals and ambitions at the time, which was a problem. I was 22, I didn't know any better, I guess, but we definitely weren't aligned on where we saw our future. She didn't like to travel as much, or we just never did. We didn't ever set goals on when we would travel, where we would be in a few years. We just kind of drifted, and we just rushed into getting married because of my scarcity and not wanting to break up because of going to Korea. So make sure that you understand chemistry is great, that is important, but if you're going to be committed to somebody, you also have to have the same compatibility. Like, you guys have to be on the same page, otherwise it's going to cause a lot of friction. And then the final thing is trust your gut. There's several situations where I knew the right way to go, but I did the opposite. I just assumed that what's the worst that can happen. I can remember specifically on a few occasions while we're planning the wedding, and I'm pretty sure even on the wedding day, I was just wondering, is this the right thing to do? Which comes from that scarcity. The way I proposed, I knew there was red flags. I just ignored them. My gut was telling me that this is not normal behavior. I do not want to get guilt tripped for nudity in a movie. I do not want to get guilt tripped for having friends and doing things without her. But I ignored those things. I didn't listen to my gut. It's something that I still have a tendency sometimes to do. Like when I got arrested in Mexico, my gut was telling me it's not a good idea to drink today because you said you weren't going to, and I did it anyways. And then I get arrested that night. Personal responsibility. If I was not doing those things, I would not have got arrested. There's no need for me to blame, the Mexican police for just wanting my money. I shouldn't have been in that situation. So, sixth step is follow your gut. You know if somebody is right for you or not, probably relatively quickly. So you don't need to, identify these red flags. Ask yourself, is this something I can live with? Is this something that I could see being an issue in the future? This also comes back to trusting your gut, but also comes to having boundaries for yourself. I didn't have a lot of boundaries. Actually, I don't think I had many boundaries at all. I would have taken my wife back I did take her back a couple times, and I probably would have taken her back even after she left me for her coworker, because I didn't have strong boundaries. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know where I wanted to be after the divorce. So my immediate thoughts were, I just need to get her back so that my life can go back the way it was, which wasn't a good scenario. I wasn't happy with that life. I was miserable. Maybe not miserable, but I was definitely comfortable, not living a dream life in any way. It was just very much existing, coasting, whatever you want to say. So make sure you're listening to your gut. Set some boundaries of what is acceptable to you, what's not. You're okay to be alone. You've been in bad relationships. If you're watching this channel, I assume you weren't very happy the entire time you were in that relationship, and that there were some red flags that you probably ignored. So just be okay with being alone. If you don't need to rush into something, just have a woman in your life for validation, for acceptance. It's easier said than done. I still have tendencies to want people to like me, to want girls to be a part of my life for validation. But I mean, you can be fine without it. Focus on your goals, your desires, improving yourself, and you'll just become a better version of yourself, which will attract higher quality women. And when you have standards and you're addressing red flags as you see them, girls will appreciate that. So I'll leave it on that. I don't believe that there is no good girls out there. All women are gold diggers, whatever. I've mentioned this, I've seen this in the comments before. I don't buy that at all. It is rare to find super high value women, just like it is rare to find super high value men, which is why it's important to do these things, to identify your red flags, to look out for her red flags, to figure out what you want in a relationship. If you're just coasting and getting by, you're probably doomed to repeat yourself. So there are high value women out there. They want high value men. You're a man who can become more valuable than he currently is. There are steps you could take today that, if you started doing consistently, would make your life better, would make you more attractive, would make you feel better about yourself. So if you need help with any of that, put in the comments, like, what are things that you work on consistently to improve yourself as a man, as a person. I think that's it for today's video. I'll leave you with this. Dating after divorce or a breakup is not about finding the right woman, but it's about becoming the kind of man that doesn't settle for the wrong one. Make sure you're healing first. Make sure you're identifying your red flags. You're identifying things that are unacceptable to you in a woman. Have those boundaries. Be willing to walk away. If she's not living up to the standards that you set for yourself, or the kind of partner that you want to have, there's no need to settle just out of scarcity or abundance. These things will present themselves later in the relationship, and it could end up leading to the same situation you're in now. So take the time, figure this stuff out, become that man who's not going to settle for the wrong woman again. It does take some work, but you'll find that the relationships that you do have just become so much better. I'm off to, the grocery store now real quick. I have a client meeting at 2:30. I'm gonna help him build out his profile, get him back on the dating apps. Then I'll go to the gym, then I'll do some editing. Busy day, trying to be as productive as possible. The trips to Mexico and New Orleans kind of threw off my routine, so I'm getting back into that, trying to get back into health, exercise, just working, helping give as much value as I can to you guys. Let me know in the comments things that you're working on, things that you want to improve. Follow me on Instagram. I'm going to start posting there consistently, just the things that I'm doing to improve myself. I want to live what I'm saying. I don't want to just be a guy on YouTube who tells all these stories about my past and how I'm improving, and then not be representative of that or show that. So I'm gonna start posting more consistently on Instagram. Follow me there. I guess that's all I really have for today. Enjoy your Tuesday, or I guess Wednesday when this is posted. I'm gonna try to keep more consistent, or just as consistent with the videos, but I am working on creating some more of a course to kind of just help you guys step by step rather than just me walking and talking. So be on the lookout for that. Enjoy your day. We'll see you later.